First off, I want to say that I'm fine medically now, but about a week ago, I found myself in the back of an ambulance on my way to the emergency room for a hypertensive emergency. And this is kind of what it looked like.
What did you feel before you passed out?
Heart racing.
Alright.
Like I can't breathe.
Okay. You hit the ground or anything? You just kind of blacked out, but not really passed out?
It's happening again. I just feel like when you're hitting me.
Look, listen.
If it makes you feel comfortable, you can come
You're probably having a little bit of anxiety attack. Okay, try to calm down a little bit. Take deep breaths,
That would
alright?
be great if it's just an anxiety attack.
Okay, so what happened was I was walking at Nordstrom. I figured I want to get an orange lipstick to match my dress tomorrow. So I got it. And all of a sudden, I felt funny. And I was walking, but not at a particularly high pace. And then I could feel my heart start pounding, and I felt like I couldn't breathe. And then as soon as I knew something was off, it was seconds. I'm kind of feeling it now. Hold on. As soon as I knew that something was off, I found a girl who was wearing all black because she worked there. And I said, "Excuse me, I'm feeling lightheaded." And then her and this other guy said, "Have some water." And then I just felt my heart get faster and faster, and then I just went to the floor. And then as I went to the floor, I started feeling worse. And then my heart was racing, and I felt like I couldn't breathe. And I felt like I was gonna pass out. But nothing was constricting my oxygen, so I was confused. And then they asked if I wanted to, they called security. And then I said, "I think you need to call 911. And then I put my feet up, and then I kind of thought I started to feel better, and it was not happening. Then people started to gather around me. And then I was like, something is really off, so I couldn't breathe. And then I told the guy, I was like, "This is my passcode to my phone. This is Laura. Call Laura. Just call Laura." This is why I share my location with...
That's how I got to the mall.
Yeah. And then I just thought I was gonna die. And I called Will on FaceTime, and he was so confused. The guy was talking to him about me. And I just really thought that was it. And I just thought of the boys. I still don't know what's wrong with me, but what I got was, God can do anything. God can do anything. You don't need a diagnosis. You don't need an accident. God can take you at any moment. God can take you at any moment. In seconds. I never want to forget that. So, it's been about a week since that video was taken. I went home that night at about 4 a.m. They discharged me at about 4 a.m, and really all they could find was that I had a lack of electrolytes of magnesium and potassium, but they looked for clots, and I was cleared of clots, thankfully, and that's conclusively all they could find. The crazy part is I spoke on stage that day, and nobody would know. No one would know that this happened to me less than 24 hours beforehand. So since then, I've been to several doctor's appointments trying to piece together the puzzle of what happened. I was exhausted, you guys. I have been flying. I went to London for a speaking engagement and then Atlanta for a speaking engagement. I was traveling the world essentially for like 2 weeks. And I was just really, I guess my body just was out of its rhythm. I wasn't eating regularly. I was fasting a lot. I had a lot of coffee. And I wasn't paying attention to my salt intake. And because I had a lack of electrolytes, it created an anxiety attack. It made my heart didn't know what to do. My blood was so diluted that it created this anxiety attack. The hardest part about all of this is that since then, I've had many anxiety attacks. And I feel so humbled because anxiety is something that I used to not understand. And I criticized it even. And I feel so guilty about that. But I always thought that I was someone that didn't have anxiety. And now I have it. The hardest part is feeling betrayed by your body. Because to me, the day that happened, I was not anxious at all. My mind was in a good place. My spirit was in a good place. I felt very close to God that day, particularly. And it was so weird how it happened in my body, not my mind. But maybe it started in my mind. It was uncontrollably a body thing. I always thought anxiety was a mind thing. And I wish I had like some words of wisdom for you guys right now, and I don't. I was just thinking right now, how am I going to close this video? You know, here's something to take away. Here's something to take away from this. Here's the lesson, because, you know, I'm Sheila Bella and I'm inspiring, and I just wanted to tell you guys what was going on with me. And maybe the lesson here is to be okay with not being completely okay. And that's okay. I just got a word from God, though, that my iron will did this. My iron will, my will to be like an overachiever in all of these areas. I can do it. I can do it. I can push a little bit harder. My iron will did this to myself, but it's more about his will and just submitting to God's will, letting him take control. You know what? Working hard for me is just normal. Being a little uncomfortable is just normal. And I guess that's why I'm successful, but there's a balance to this. And for any of you who live with, you know, anxiety or ever had, you know, a panic attack brought on by lack of electrolytes, has anybody else ever experienced this? I'd love to hear from you. Also, no doctors are certain that if it was just that. They took some tests, and I might have an AFib. So I have to wear a Holter monitor on my heart, you know, for 2 weeks. That's coming up. I need to work around that with outfits and things like that. But for those of you who've had a similar experience, I just want to know, like, this anxiety thing, it felt like a body thing, right? Like, I wasn't anxious about anything. It's so weird. I completely didn't even know that this was possible. Thank you to all my friends who were there for me. Thank you to Laura, who was with me at the hospital. Thank you to Michelle, who held my hand and prayed over me in the back of the ambulance. Thank you to PMU Women of Color, to Jenny, Alma, and Maria, for making adjustments and still putting me on as a speaker but a closer on that second day, or second to last day. And to this amazing community.
Multiple seven-figure businesses, and sometimes it's weird. I don't know who they're talking about, and also I feel like I missed it. So I just want to take a moment I promised myself that I would be more present and take a moment to really remember you guys and to really take this in, because being on the stage is a dream come true for me. I've known about this event for years, so being on the stage is a dream come true for me. So if I could just take a moment to take this in, look at all y'all's faces. So warm, so beautiful. So thank you so much for the warm welcome. Because, next slide, this was me last night. I almost didn't make it here. And I stand here not because of my press releases or my accolades, but because of the testimony of what God has done in my life. Yesterday, I was at the mall and I passed out. I had a hypertensive emergency. They couldn't control my blood pressure. I was rushed in an ambulance to St. Joe's Hospital, and I thought I was gonna die, you guys.